There we go. We're recording now. Yay. Well, again, welcome everybody to, and the reason we wanted to do this call, I visited with some people down in Destin that are mature as well. They're over 65. And one of the things we talked about was the demographics of that. What are some of the reasons or causes that they maybe don't engage like they could? So I want to, after 2.5 decades of being in the industry, during that time frame, we kind of stumbled onto a lot of things that work, and at least they work for us. I just want to make sure that everybody understands here. We just want to be your friend. We want to help you, whatever we can do. Hey, brother, good to see you. And with that, comes we want to make sure that financially we don't ever give anything that would harm you in any way, shape, or form. So tonight we're really just going to talk about, if you're working with somebody that's in 60 years of age or older, can we all at least agree on the fact that there should be a higher urgency? Now, not saying that people younger don't have an urgency, but what you realize is, there's more years behind you than there is in front of you. And so you have to figure out how to really address, because that's really an elephant in the room when you're in your 60s. I'll be 71 here on Saturday, Yahoo, and excited about that because, and I'm going to challenge you guys to do the same thing that I was challenged with by one of my coaches and mentors years ago. And that is, if you don't know what you want to do, you won't certainly get there. And what I mean by that is, if you're in your 40s, what do you want to accomplish in your 40s? What do you want to accomplish in your 50s? What do you want to accomplish in your 60s? What do you want to accomplish in your 70s? What do you want to accomplish in your 80s? What do you want to accomplish in your 90s? What do you want to accomplish in your 100? And then people go, oh, 100. Well, yeah, but if you don't know, here's the thing. If you don't have a plan to live that long, to stay productive and engaged and working purpose and intention, you're definitely going to miss out because you don't have a plan. You're just trying to get up every day and be resourceful. And I think that's the biggest struggle that I have seen with many people my age, in that they retire and they become non-productive. And because they feel like they earn the right. And I hope I don't offend anybody tonight talking about these kind of things, because Bev and I, we really protect ourselves from being around older people, because sometimes that lack of productivity is wearing. I always laugh and chuckle when I hear him talking about more pains and pills than the weather. Those are just discussions that unfortunately I don't want to participate in. And so I would say, you have to realize that you got to have strategy every 10-year decade in your life, whether that's in the new age business or it's in your own personal life, because your kids and grandkids and things are going to change your life. But how do you have a plan to work that? I do. I have a plan all the way out to 120. And that scares the heck out of Crystal and my daughter Amanda, because that means they're probably going to be in their hundreds to see me live that long, and that scares them. So, that's part of it as well. But stay productive is the big thing. Now, what's that? Oh, yeah, we got somebody that needs to mute. Let me see. I can get it here. I think. Yep. Okay. Thank you. So one of the things that I want to talk about is, with that urgency, is, do you know in your business or the people that you associate with, do you understand the demographics, the age? In other words, if you're, I'm just going to use me as an example tonight. If I'm starting the business from yesterday and I'm 71 years old, okay, the reality is I can be in the business for the next 15 years probably and attend events and all those things. What are my productive years? Okay. So my productive years are probably going to be over the next 5 to 7 years. So then I have to look at the building cycle and the commitment of time to make that really productive. Now, one of the things that I want to teach you here tonight is for every 1 hour you work, and we talk about going out and getting 4, right? And helping those 4 get 4. I want you to do that same thought process. If I invest 1 hour and I find 4 people who will invest 4 hours, for people that are busy, you can multiply time so I can get thousands of hours working for my 1. So when the day I signed up with Crystal, I was 6,700 people below her. Okay. So if you understand that, that means for every 1 hour that Crystal would put into work, there was the potential of 6,500 hours working on her behalf as well. So that becomes a major advantage when people are busy people. They don't have to see that they work 8 to 10 hours a week with this business, because you're multi-level marketing. That's the greatest thing about it is if you're building it correctly, you're scaling it and you're duplicating it so that it's working with you and for you rather than you working for it. Okay. And to me, that's a very key point that most people don't understand. The other thing that I want you to understand is the 80-20 rule. Everybody raise your hand if you're familiar with the 80-20 rule. Pareto's law, right? Okay. Pareto's law says that 20% of the people do 80% of the work. And what you have to realize with Pareto's law is sometimes you will find people that, I used to say got the winning thoroughbred horse to run the race. And I would just tell you, don't ever think the person you sponsor is the man or the gal that's going to go CEO and above. Okay. So don't put that expectation on them, because here's what you have to realize. 80% of the people that you sponsor are going to be in your business. Well, let me say that again, because that's important you understand that. 80% of the people you sponsor are going to be in your business, especially the older crowd that if you're working with them, they're in your business. They're part of your club. They're part of your team. That's the way they're looking at it. They're not, the other 20% are in their business. Okay. And when they're in their business, they're the ones who's willing to go out and build long-term. Now, when you find those people, I want you to understand that you need to cut that piece of the pie again in 80-20 again. So 80-20. So let's say that you've got 4 leaders, you've put your 4 people in the business. How many people are business builders? That's 8. The 80-20 rule applies. You don't have one yet because you don't have that 20% filled. So you won't get there until you have 10, and that'll give you 2. So you always have, the thing as a leader, you always have to look at is your 80-20 and because 80% of the people will take 20%. You follow me? So just realize, keep dividing your business, understand your business from who's the 20%ers that I work with, who's the 20%ers that are scaling their business, who are the 20%ers that are working hard, they're in their business, they're not in my business, okay? Because here's the thing that I see with people 60 years of age, they've retired. And I'm talking me, we can retire and we can become like we've earned the right to retire. We've earned the right to kick back, relax, play golf, fish, and enjoy life. And I'm not saying that this is wrong. I've done that. I retired at 51 after 18 months or 24 months. Bev decided to see if I couldn't. No, she didn't kick me out. It was just we wanted more in life than just those items. And so I engaged at age 51 into the multi-level marketing business again. And after many years of being away from it, and I just will tell you, you will be a much more productive person in society with purpose and intention at 65, 70, 75, and 80 to your peers and to people around you than you possibly can imagine or realize. Now, here's the thing. How do you meet those people at that age? Is it fair to say that most people meet their friends and or not family, but friends through their children? Okay, well, that's the thing. All the children grow up, and then we got all these parents, and then the parents can't have anybody to talk to or don't know how to engage each other. Or you find out, oh my goodness, after 20 years, they're not as sharp people as we thought. And we don't like their society. We don't like their culture. We don't like a lot of things about them that we now find, time out. We don't want to go around those kind of people. And so it's really important that as you're looking at the people, where do you plan on meeting them? You know, you're certainly not going to meet them at the shuffleboard or pickleball courts. Doesn't mean you won't meet people, but typically here's a secret that I want to divulge tonight. When we started our business originally, and I will tell you, I'm pretty good at what I do, but I will tell you the glue to my entire life and my business is sitting here beside me. This woman is the glue that why most people will stay around me. Now, it's not that I'm arrogant, assertive, all those things that people may, I can be a bulldozer. Some of you know my personality that know me really well. And that's just my nature. I changed a lot. I'm not near like I used to be. Bev's worked on me a lot. She softened me up. But I will tell you, if you were an angel investor and you said, Dave, I want you to write down a list of names, and I want Bev to write down a list of names, and that list that's how much money I'm going to determine to invest into you by the list that I see. Whose list do you think the angel investor would work off of and put the money behind? Hers. And the reason is because a woman will never lie to another woman. It's just the human nature. My business ramped up right out of the gate because of the list of people on her. Guys, I'm just here to tell you, your list is not productive, but you're too protective of your list. They're all good buddies. And buddies, we have that straight line, man. You don't want to cross that buddy line. And girls, it seems, it appears to me, the girls all look at each other with admiration, I'm sure there's times some jealousy in that, but they all understand they have an emotional attachment. And that's why a woman, especially if a woman and man sitting there and a man saying something, I always took Bev with me wherever I went when I met with someone. Why? Because a man usually cannot get by lying in front of his wife. So other women seeing, and I'd be quiet and let her talk, and people got in. You know what's funny about that? The first 4 people we got off of her list all stayed with us. They're still with us today, 25 years later. Because we're in a relationship business. And ladies, you have the relationship already established with most people. Guys don't. We have buddies. And some of them are good buddies. Most of them are just friends. And it's important you understand the value of the lady side of the business, not from a boss perspective, because you already have broke the barrier of relationship and strength and camaraderie. Ladies appreciate other ladies. Okay? And it's important you guys understand that. To me is one of the key things of working the wife's list or the spouse's list way before you do the guys. Now, reaching out to my 65-year-olds and above guys, okay? Hopefully this doesn't offend you, but you got to get your rusty dusty off the couch and start being more productive. You got to put your young boots on and get out there and be that warrior that your wife married. Yeah, you may have put in 25 years or so as a career in something, and yay-hoo, that's great. But the reality is, folks, we're in a different time period. If you only have 15 years left in your life or 20 years left in your life, and part of it may or may not be real strong health, and so your window is narrowing, you haven't got time to play ego games in this business or anything else. You need to put a sense of urgency behind it. You need to realize that you probably should work like a 40-year-old and be, well, I won't say that age isn't the perspective. Just work hard. You already know how. Most people, guys, do. It's just we tend to, and this is me talking, okay, in the fact that I was guilty of this. I've never worked a job where I got paid every week. I don't know. Does anybody show of hands out there that have worked a job where you got a check every week? We're typically get paid every 2 weeks. All right, so a couple of you, okay? And I will just tell you, for me, making that transition into RX, because I was accustomed for 25 years looking at my business as a monthly business. So in a monthly perspective, you got a few days that you can kind of just sit back and monitor and eat and drink foo-foo and you know, buns and all those kind of things and still be an achiever, okay? When you're running a weekly business, that is, you can't even take a day off. You got to have strategy and intention on every single day. Yeah, there may be days that you do take off, but you've got to really realize that a weekly business means you're up to bat all the time. Every day you got to swing the bat. You know, and that's important that you guys understand that swinging the bat is the critical thing that I find most people challenge with. Now, I've asked the company, and I'm going to hopefully Wednesday is, maybe we may change to a different night, but next week, I hope to have this report. I approached Cameron and Christina about it. I asked if they ever had run a report on demographics of spend. In other words, what demographic age is spending the most money? And also, which ones are doing the most auto ships and how long do they average? In other words, there's demographics, there's information there that all as business people, we should know, but we probably don't. So they promised me that they're going to work on it this week and hope that next week they'll be able to give it to us. And I'd really like to share that report with you so that you yourself know, if I'm 75 years old right now and I'm going to work this business hard for another 5 years, it's really important that 5 years you invested to get the reward you want and the income you want, you need to target market specific demographics so that you don't waste your time. Now, if you're younger, like some of you are on this call tonight, and you feel like, because here's the thing, if you want a legacy business that spans generations, folks, you need to have different generations within the business. You need to understand the demographics, and you need to understand why they're not buying, why they're not, those kind of things, because trust me, school clothes come before supplements. Okay. And why? Because mom's controlling the checkbook. Mom's going to make sure her bears are always covered up, always taken care of. But mom's also, when money gets tight, she always buys the consumable products she needs to, one, look good, smell good, and keep her family safe and healthy. And that's important you guys understand it, because that's what the business you're in. You're in a consumable business. And that's why understanding that consumable business, you got to break it down on a weekly basis. Now, when you're older and you only got 5 years or so to do, that's why you got to target market, and you got to look at it and say, okay, if most of my customers are going to be baby boomers, how am I going to meet them? Where am I going to address them? You know, I tell this story a few years ago. We had a little 85-year-old lady that was really working the business really hard, and she didn't have much success. And then we heard that Saul Palmetto really helped with prostrate issues. And so she also found out that it was really, if women took it at certain age groups, it helped with breast enlargement. And so that little 83-year-old lady started going around to all the nursing homes and all the assisted livings and doing presentations. And I watched that lady in 2 years go from basically no sales to where she was doing over a 6-digit income in Albuquerque, New Mexico, of all places, and paid cash for a new car and at 85 years old, and Cadillac. And she was full of a lot of things, and she just had a great time. And so again, it's where you target your market, figure out what it is, because if you're looking at your business on a weekly basis, if you're a single mom and needing some money, or you're a single retiree and you're needing some money, hey, $100 a week, that's $400 a month. That's more than you're going to clear by the time you go over and work at Walmart or a second job or a third job. You're not going to clear that much after taxes. So this business here will give you some advantages, your hours, your control, and you get to work with people and change their life and work with them. It's just, as we get older, we tend to narrow our thinking a little bit. And hopefully tonight, I'll do a Q&A here in a second. And we have to open up, take the lid off the box that you've put yourself into. Okay, make sure that you understand the only limiting factor is this thing up here called the brain. We have such incredible products. We have incredible teaching systems. We have incredible stories of people of success. And so the two things you have to really learn to address and ask your questions, the difference between an asset and a liability, and what's your return on investment. Those are business terms that you need to know. Asset, liability, and return on investment, ROI. And because every decision you make, when you're thinking productivity, is this an income producing productivity? Is it going to be an asset? Is it going to be a liability? Folks, sometimes the things you do will become your liability. And when you understand that, you narrow that down so you don't repeat that time and time and time again. Some products will be liabilities. Okay, some products will be assets. You need to understand which one really work for you, and then which ones you struggle with because you haven't tried them, you haven't had the transformation story or success with it. So that's really what becomes a liability. Because what you want to do is stack all the assets you can in your corner, whether you're 22, 62, or 82. Put those assets up, because that's where you're going to get the greatest reward. You know, it's important that you guys understand that this business doesn't define you because of your age. This business defines you because of your efforts. Your action behind it is what's going to define you. That little 82-year-old lady that we used to hug and laugh about, she ended up passing away in a car in her car going to a business meeting at 82 years old on a snowy night in Albuquerque, New Mexico, was in a car accident and passed. But she did it because she loved it. And she was having fun. And if you're not having fun, it's because you're putting too much pressure on yourself. Release it, get rid of it. Write the things down on a piece of paper that whether it's the fear or the liabilities, as I like to all say, and write them down on a piece of paper, look at them, say a prayer over them, and wad them up, throw it away, or burn it. They're gone. Get them out of your head. Take them off the table. And like I said, is one of the things I use my spouse, I would never have been half as successful in my business if it wasn't for Bev. She's the wheels behind the car. The car doesn't move without this girl. Okay, even to this day, I mean, she's ordering things in the background, and I ordered this today because we need it, and she'll come to me and tell me that, okay, I don't have to stop and think. I mean, I used to wear a suit and a tie whenever I went out and did a meeting, and when I come home at night, I would come home, get out of my work clothes, go in, take a shower, shirt, tie, suit was always hanging there, ready to go. Why? Because just like if I'd owned a traditional business and I'd come home from work and I was going to a party or something like that, she would always have me prepared. You need, folks, if you're working your business as a single person and not utilizing your spouse, I'm just being honest, I couldn't do that. You need your spouse and your family not only as cheerleaders, but really understand the dynamics within your business. The dynamics of your business is what's going to give you reasons, fuels, and in that time when you're sitting there scratching your head going, man, I just don't know. And those people are going to give you because they love you, they're going to give you the support you need. It's not going to come from your upline. Your upline loves you, but they're not, in other words, it's one of those things where you got to realize you're not in their business, you're in your business, and it happened to fall in their line of sponsorship. It's your responsibility to motivate and inspire yourself, not theirs. And it's important that you pull that from within your own family. I'll pick on old Daryl up there in Seattle. Flew all the way down, and a hockey player, and if he had a sporting goods store and he got an infected tooth, and his wife was available to go in and sit there selling and representing the company so that he could go have it extracted or fixed, his wife would do that for him, and just like many spouses would. But you gotta prepare them. You at least got to have them understanding the dynamics and the need of the team. Okay, it's important that you understand that, because if you're going to build this business long term, it takes all hands on deck. It takes participation by everybody, all in, not partially, all in. And you need to make sure they understand your goals. You need to make sure they understand your events. They need to understand, in other words, hopefully once a week you're working with a calendar with your person. And I mean, Bev and I, our calendar's daily. I mean, we have to go over our calendars multiple times a day. Stuff's happening. So it's important, you guys, just communication. And it isn't that 80-year-olds or 70-year-olds are not a good business risk. They're no different a risk than a 40-year-old. But can I just be honest? They're not going to be on this earth more than probably another 5 to 10 years at the most. If I'm 20 years old and I'm building a business, do I want to go invest my future of time into somebody that's 80 years old? No. And you got to understand that. But you need a little bit of the every age demographic in your business so that you're collecting revenue, that return on investment, so you don't you don't get like Daryl finally gets up to 65 years old, and everybody, all of his buddies got in, all of his wife's friends got in, and they're all the same age. And all of a sudden you look around the corner and your business is going to die out in the next 3 years. So which means your children's inheritance and income off your business is going to be dramatically affected. You got to build longevity. You got to build longevity, which means you got to have everybody on board of every age and every demographic. So with that being said, we'll take some questions here. If you want to open up and somebody want to start off, you have a question, Bev, and I'd be happy to answer and go further.
Okay, Dave, I got a question.
Good.
Well, you met my wife down in Destin. And
Yes.
She's not 100% on board yet. She's one of the goals was to get her towards that. What kind of advice would you give me to help out to get her on board?
Keep her informed and then let her engage as much as she wants. Don't push her. Don't be the guy that, don't be the guy that buys the books on behalf of her. Hey, honey, you ought to read this book. Don't lay it on the pillow, open to a certain place, bookmarker in it, and it's underlined. Don't do those kind of things. That doesn't win. Wife will not be your friend either. No, just keep her informed. And the big part about that is informed of not only what's going on, what the goals are for the week, how you're going at it. Ask for advice. She's been wanting to give you her opinion, but you may not have been willing to receive it.
Gotcha.
And so what happens is you got it, you have to look at it a little bit. And so great question though. Appreciate it. Hopefully that helps you.
It does. We're on the right track. So
Good.
Thank you.
Anybody else? A question out there that you've always wanted to ask, but everybody's scared to ask it? Tammy.
Hey, Dave, that's Anna.
Hey, Anna.
I think your comment on getting that report for the demographics is right on. And I'm going to put a guess out there. I'm going to say it's the folks between 50 and 65 that are spending the most.
They're spending the most? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like you, I have my thoughts. But you got to remember who's spending the money long term. Okay. And because you got to remember, people in the age, once they go over 70, they become hoarders. Okay. And the reason is because they're on retirement mode. They're on a budget mode. If they don't have a lot of their things paid off and their income is shrinking every year, it's coming down because they can't buy as much as they did. So they become a hoarder, protecting their funds, protecting everything around them. But the opportunity is if they'd like to make an extra $200 to $400 a week, we can resolve that rather than go to work at Walmart. However, people, again, that's where at some point in time, the posture and boldness of the business that you're in, Anna surfaces and will take control of the conversation. Hey, Miss Tammy.
This is such great. Oh, can I jump in real quick?
Of course.
This is such great information, you two. It's so awesome. And I love your wisdom and your insight. And I just had to laugh when you said people over 60, I think, become hoarders. And unlike that, we moved and downsized our house and got rid of half our crap. And I love it.
Yeah. And what happens is people, that's why, how many 75-year-olds and 80-year-olds do you see buying a house? They're not buying house. Just, yeah. Tammy, David,
Well, I'm
David.
not quite 75. I'm not quite that close.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But I do think what you said is really apropos. I think I love the idea that, because I know a lot of people when they hit, over 75, they are looking to subsidize their income in a way that is not a physical labor.
Correct.
Their ability has changed physically, even how to engage in the workforce. So I love that idea of going and getting a job at a retail store where you're making what, $10, $12. I don't even know. I know it's not much.
No, it's scary.
An hour, and to take that time investment and to create 2 or 3 or 4 times that much income. And I'm going to just suggest one other thing. I think as we get older, and I'm 61, so I am definitely, I love where I'm at in life. I love being 61, but I also am mindful that I need more nutrition. I need to take care of my body better. I realize I have more on that side of my life than I do on this side of my life.
Absolutely.
And so you're not having to convince, I think, an older demographic that they need support, nutritional support, because they already know it. They're already starting to feel, I would say anybody over 45 starts to feel the aging process kick in. And so, but the older demographic, they're already looking for supplements. So if we can get them to fall in love with a few of our products, hey, then they will shout it from the rooftops to all their friends, which is an amazing demographic.
Well, yeah, and that's the important part, is once you get into that circle of influence, that circle of influence may carry you through the next 90 days of meeting new customers, the whole new insight. So that's where you can't really ever count the older generations out of the equation. But again, if you're enrolling someone and you're investing a lot of your time to work in those demographics, you got to realize your buying power. If you're 40 years old and you're going to be around another 40 years, well, none of your customers are. So you have to realize, where do I put my time and effort? And that's where you always understand. That's why you need to understand the old wisdom of multi-level marketing is there's water leaking out of your bathtub every day. It's called people. And if you want to take a full bath, you have to keep adding water to your bathtub. And if you don't, your bathtub, you're sitting there in no water in your bathtub and wondering what in the world happened. And so that's just the reality. But it's not just multi-level marketing. That's any business. You got to have new customers. Ace Hardware, any retail store spends millions of dollars a year to reach out to customers, and they look at the demographics of what people are buying in different ages, the same way, is the demographics of who's buying Blue Frog. What demographic would you think is buying Blue Frog? Well, you would think it's the 19 to 23 year olds. Okay, they're not. They're not.
It's you and me.
It's the 45 to 55-year-old that's got to get past 3 o'clock.
Totally. But Dave, the other thing I love is look at our newest product, Renew.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that product. So that product, I'm telling you, that is a marketable product from anyone even close to 40 until the end of their life. It's a phenomenal product that our company has brought to us, that we get to open up these conversations. I mean, HGH is the hottest thing around right now. Oh my gosh, Eric, just Google it. It's like crazy. People are crazy about this.
And you got to understand, as we get older, guys, taking pills becomes more difficult. And anytime you can get your supplements in a liquid form,
yes,
drink it. It's a big deal. It really is.
You guys are so awesome. I just wanted to say thank you for all your wisdom. You know, you both have been so successful on so many platforms, on so many levels. But I love listening to wisdom.
Well,
I
thank
love
you.
listening to your wisdom.
And
And you too, Bev.
we're setting here poolside. So
Oh my gosh.
doing it. So we
Oh my
decided
goodness.
we decided
Instead of
not.
cold Denver, you know, it's like -10.
Oh no, but Misty, do you have anything, or Teresa, or anybody else out there? Marianne, any guys got any questions? We're running out of time here, so.
This is Teresa, and I'm just grateful for hearing, as Tammy and Anna said, wisdom. It's good info. Thank you so much.
Oh, you bet. Well, I'm glad we can help. We're going to do, like I said, we'll do this hopefully next Wednesday again. I'll get it out once I know, maybe the Wednesday after, if they don't have the report generated in time, because I think it's important. We need to really dig down into that, and actually they're looking at trying to get that report built into the dashboard. So on the app, so that you'll be able to look at your customer and your business demographics, not as an overall, because that's what they're going to do, is give me a report of overall North America, so that we can look at it and say, you know, this is big picture. Because if you're a business person, you should be looking at big picture, never what's in your community. The community is just a part of. Hopefully we get that this next week, and we can dissect that, and then ask a lot of questions. I may try to get Christina to come on with us, and and Cameron, or both, and see about maneuvering around through that information. So keep checking in with us, keep checking on this, and hopefully it gives you enough tips and tricks that we can keep you excited, and realizing that you know, your grandmas and grandpas still have a lot of value. You know, it's not just the wisdom. There has a lot of value, but only if they feel worthy. If you've isolated them where they don't feel they're providing value anymore in your life, other than just a hug and sit there, be quiet, and drink their coffee or tea and crumpets and kind of be quiet. You know, those people they have a need to feel productive. And because here's the thing I'll leave with you guys tonight. Peter J. Daniels, who's one of the richest men in the world, when he was coaching and mentoring me, he said, Dave, most people don't understand that their body has a half-life. Every organ in your body has a half-life. And based upon how you were programmed as a kid, okay, most of the kids, they see their grandmas and grandpas, and they talk about retirement. So they look at that and they say, oh, grandma and grandpas, they get older, they understand that's in their 60s. If you was to go out on the street and ask people what's it take to retire, 80% of the people right off their mouth say 65, 70 years old. It's not about money. They think you retire because of age. Okay. Well, when you program your brain to retire, you're telling yourself you're really going to be what? Non-productive. So that means now your half-life is 33 years old. So when do your knees crack? When does your gray turn hair, or hair turn gray? When does your eyes start going bad? When do you start needing readers? When do you can't remember yesterday what you eat? You know, so these all happen at a younger age, because we've programmed ourselves to. That's why it's so essential, folks. It's so essential that you sit down and, you know, like Tammy is 60. I'm going to keep challenging her to say, Tammy, what are you going to accomplish in your 60s? And that's great. But what are you going to accomplish when you're 70? Do you have a plan? What are you going to accomplish in your 80s? Because you certainly can't get to that age if you don't have a plan. And the plan isn't RX. The plan's got to be about people, how you're going to engage them, What are you going to take on? Are you going to learn how to fly a drone so that you can play with your grandkids or tap into that market? Are you going to learn things that's to grow who you are, where you're going, and what you're doing? It's important for that.
The only other thing I would add is a very wise woman who actually sponsored my parents in Amway told me about 20 years ago. She said, I don't think there's any word retirement in the Bible.
Amen to that.
Yep.
That's why God says in his words, the age that your body is designed for is 125 if you actually research it out in the Bible. You live in I don't remember it, so I won't try to quote it. All I know is 125 is his mark that he's earmarked our bodies are built for. We program our organs to wear out sooner and earlier by either bad quality of food and product and those kind of things and the lifestyles, or we program it, well, we don't plan on living that long anyway. So, I mean, I can't tell you how many people I hear in and around my life, well, I'll never reach 60. None of my parents did. Okay. Can't you be different? Do you have to be hung by your tongue? Or can you speak power? Can you speak the power of the spoken word? God says that's where the power comes from, is from the word. Can you speak that you might live to be 60 or you might live to be 90? I used to say, and my kids can quote this verbatim, if you want a cold, hang around somebody who's got one, you'll catch it. If you want to be successful, hang around somebody that's successful, you'll catch it. And isn't it interesting? Everybody on this call, if you've got kids, you always wonder what in the world, who they're hanging around with, can't put a bad kid. And then all of a sudden we get to become an adult and that no longer applies. We hang around anybody and everybody because we just want to associate with people. No more questions? Wow, that made it easy. You guys are so great. Well, we love helping people, and I don't want you to make a lot of the mistakes that we've made through the years in multi-level marketing. I mean, I can just tell you, I think it was Christy Bain said, I know if I'd have had the comp plan that we have right now in the past 25 years, we would have been living in the houses that prior to what Bev posted today on our Facebook. And our lifestyle would have been dramatically better. I mean, I've made more in a month than most people make in a year, but that's on a resume. That's history. It means I know how to do it. Now I just got to go do it again. And it's because I didn't scale it, didn't build it right the first time, that I got to do it again. But you got to learn from that. You got to realize how you make the adjustments. Honey, you got anything you'd like to add?
No, it's just keeping your focus. It's repeat, repeat, repeat. And I want to say one thing. I'm so proud of Claudia. You are going to be huge in this business with all the challenges she's had the last 2 times to Destin. She bought her tickets, ended up in airport to airport that wasn't the right airport. And I'm just so proud of you for just sticking through it. And proud of you.
Third year is going to be a charm, girl.
Yeah, there you go. So.
All right. Well, good night, everybody. Thank you for joining in with us. We'll be back here same time next Wednesday that I know of, unless something changes. I'll send out the flyer. Hopefully we'll have the report we can go over. Reach out to people, and I'll have Ant post this wherever he wants to. But because I think once we get those demographics, it's going to it should set a motion and direction for each one of you to really earmark and watch in your daily activities where those people are and how do you engage them. And that's what's important. So take care, everybody. Have a great night. We love you all. All right.
Thank you, Dave.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everyone.
Thank you so much. Love you, Claudia.
Love you.
Bye-bye.